Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to another episode of OilTown here in City Skylines 2, where last episode you can see this big beautiful highway that I built in the last episode. Now it's not perfect, it is a little bit rough around the edges, but it does what it needs to do. A lot of you guys didn't actually like it in the last episode. I'm like, Seniac, what is this monstrosity right now? What are these junctions? What are these on-ramps? Listen, guys, I haven't built a highway in this game in a very long time. Please stop cyberbullying me right now. But I think it's perfect. I think it is just about right for OilTown. Now, this series, this city, this island doesn't have the normal road traffic that you would expect or see in a normal city. So I feel like I don't need to worry about having better connections, about leading all this into a roundabout, about sorting out the on and off ramps. Yes, they might be a little bit steep, but listen, right? Listen. It's okay, guys. It's okay, okay? It's okay. Now, today, in this episode, we're going to slightly expand it. I kind of want to do a few changes to it anyway. I want to add a new connection onto it and change how the roads lay out through. I also want to start bringing in some new residents as well. That's going to be a big thing in terms of growing the city in general. So it's going to be quite interesting. But for those who did not like the highway, I'm very sorry, okay? I'm very sorry, guys. But it's enough. It's enough for OilTown. Now, what I like about it is it's mainly going to be used for cargo vehicles because pedestrians, public transport, passenger vehicles, well, there isn't really many passenger vehicles in the city. All the pedestrians are going to be using my brand new subway system, so it is mainly used by cargo vehicles. And you can see the speed difference with them. You can see this bus now chugging along, and these vehicles right now, because it's such a higher speed limit, just completely overtake it. It's absolutely glorious. I do like it. I know a lot of you guys didn't. But it's okay, guys, okay? It's okay. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't realized by now, I do things unconventionally. Now, what I want to do today is, like I said, I want to grow the population a bit more, so we will be adding in more residential buildings. But more importantly, I'm actually going to delete this junction here. Somebody made a really good point, and I do apologize, I can't remember your name, but to get rid of this junction and to turn this into a connection for the cargo coming down to the harbour. Now, what it would mean is getting rid of the road connection to the main road, which is quite a big deal, which means you can only access the cargo harbour by turning off on, or actually joining the highway and then turning off the highway to connect down. Now, it would force all cargo vehicles then to ultimately get onto the highway, which wouldn't be a bad thing because it's pretty much set up for, you know, to benefit the cargo vehicles more than anybody else. Now, it also means I can funnel the highway deeper into industrial areas. Now, this whole area down here of OilTown is industrial. And I did think to myself, what if I got rid of this 90 degree and allowed this to kind of continue to bend round and down and in, and it ends into the deep territory of the industrial area. That'll make them really easy to access the cargo harbour. Great stuff, great stuff. But also then, because this will no longer be a 90 degree, I have to create a proper interchange for it. So it's not, like I said, a sharp 90 degree, which kind of looks a little bit ridiculous right now. That's all future projects and updates, but I'm really excited to see where we can kind of go with this. So in the meantime, then, before I start building this, I also want to really change this road system around here. I kind of want to slightly pull away from the grid, which is wild to think that I'm even said that right now. But we're going to add some more residential stuffs in as we speak anyway. So first things first, I'm going to actually buy this tile. Get it out the way for just a second, because this highway is eventually going to turn and then end on this road here. Now, this road here is the bendy road going around down to the university, but it does need to have additional connections, and these additional connections will ultimately determine how the rest of the grid is going to work. So that would go there, but delete you to here, because we need these, like I said, we need these connections, guys. We do need these connections. Right, coming off there. Right, that should be straight, right? Which it's not. Right, I really want the snow to go. Like, I get it. I like the snow in the game. I do really like the snow in the game, guys, but after a while, it starts to trigger me. It does start to trigger me. Now, trying to run this all up, it is going to be a little bit difficult in some areas. You're not going to get perfect alignments like this. There is an awkward junction. But like I said, there really isn't that much traffic in OilTown. You're not going to get the pain that you would normally have to endure in other cities. So yeah, that is a little bit of a monstrosity. And that could cause us some problems in the long run. But you got to remember, there's not that much traffic, so you can almost, in a weird way, you can almost get away with a lot more than what you could normally do in a normal city that you would build. And I kind of feel a little bit awkward in doing it, if I'm being completely honest with you. I do feel slightly, I mean, I could change it and push it back slightly, so these connections aren't as close to it. But I kind of like the awkwardness of the city. It adds a little bit of character. Okay, not everything has to be perfect. Not everything has to be perfect. So, we're going to get some residential in. Now, before I do, let me just check the unemployment. Unemployment is at 4.2%. Now, when it comes to jobs, we need to fill a few more highly educated positions, well-educated positions, and even poorly educated. So the poorly educated is what will get filled first, because everyone's going to come in with no education to begin with. And we'll do some high-density housing. So I'll start here with some high-density, right? We'll then do some low-rent housing just here. And then we'll throw in some mixed housing next. So this mixed housing is a little bit awkward, so I'll kind of feed it in around there. And we could do it around the hospital as well. So the mixed housing will provide housing opportunities plus also commercial jobs. So it will kind of buffer out a little bit of the job market, the unemployment rate. So let's just go for that for now. Them type of buildings I've just placed down are going to be taller skyscraper buildings. So you'll get like this downtown metropolitan kind of vibe feel. So allow it to do that to do what it's got to do. Right. What I'm about to do right now is going to be a little bit chaotic. Okay. It's going to be a little bit chaotic. Now we're going to have to, right, and they're not going to like it, delete all of this to what we did last episode, just on this connection in general. Right. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And then we're going to, let's see. Do I just delete it? I think it's best just to delete this. And then simply reconnect it all in. Now, I'm about to build something that I feel like I haven't built in a very long time. It was my signature way in which I used to build connections in City Skylines 1. Anyone remember the name of the junctions that I used to build all the time? I'll give you a clue. It's a musical instrument. It's a trumpet junction. I think it will be perfect to connect into here. Now, we have this road connection underneath, like I said. This is now all going to go. If I quickly pause, that's going to go. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is all going to go to here as well. We'll kind of leave it to about there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this 4-lane road to bend, to go across diagonally, to then bend into this 4-lane road. So it's going to kind of cut down. It's going to be wild, completely different to what I've normally done. But there's a good reason for it, okay? There's too many junctions that are unnecessary, and we're going to transform this whole area in general anyway. But I'll come back to that in just a moment. There's too many things I'm trying to accomplish here all at once. So we need to first set this up as a 4-lane highway road that eventually leads up. I might have to cut this back a bit, depends on which way I make the trumpet kind of bend. But I'm going to keep it paused because it has messed up a lot of my vehicles. So a 4-lane road. And I think it might be best if... let me go normal style here. Because actually, it probably would have been best for me not to delete this straight away. Just to kind of go into there, so I've got some form of organization. Would you say that's like where it needs to be? I don't quite know if that's where it needs to be or not. Yeah, now I'm kind of regretting deleting it. But that's okay. Because that is the connection, I believe. So if that went to there, this would... Now, this is never really going to work the way you intend it to. Because the road... actually, that's not even aligned. Because the road's a different width, you're never going to really get it to how you want it to go. So if I was to upgrade this, you've got to get it smack bang in the center. Right, there we go. Right, that's smack bang in the center. Let me just bring this out. Right, there we go. Which, like I said before, you're just not going to get it the way you want it to work. So let me just create a connection there. Right, there we go. So, we'll redo that anyway, as it kind of comes in. But I've got to get this to elevate up and over. So I can now re-delete all of this. That can now go. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Delete you. We don't need you no more. And we've got to get this up and over. So, at this point here, it needs to actually be quite high. So if I bridge this up, and let's see, if I kind of brought it to about there with the height. Now, coming in, it's pretty much at the same level. So I need to bring it up like another 10. Now, is that too much? Is 10 too much? Or would we say a 15 might be better? It's a bit difficult because in one way you've got to bring it up and over, but in another way you kind of have to drop it down. And that's where we're going to have to decide where that is going to take place. So, we know we're going to run it to there. We need our single lines or lanes. And we are running on this side. So, if I get the lane... Which is easier said than done, isn't it? It is easier said than done. But that's going to run into... Let me bring this back again. So, I can always delete it. It's not a problem. Run you to there, and then we need these singular lanes, which is not as easy as it looks to get it connected, but that will go across. Oh, hang on, I've got to be up in the sky. So I think I'm going to have to do a 20, don't I? So by the looks of it, I'm going to have to do a 20 over, which, again, not a problem. But it's just getting it at the right sizing. That doesn't feel like it's centered. But then again, right, at some point, this needs to be centralized like this. Oh, which is a good point. Why am I doing 2 when I could just do the 1? Right, I think that's why I'm again, I haven't built one of these in such a long time. You kind of forget what you've got to do. You know what I mean? Right, so, with that being centered-ish, bringing you across, I just got to get that up to that level. And then the extra lane that you lose is the one that connects to this side. This bends. We'll probably trumpet it this way round as we got a little bit more space. Yeah, this could be glorious. This is... I say it could be. It will be glorious. It will be glorious. Right, let's get this now officially connected to you. Now, we'll have to sort out the... Actually, the elevation's not too bad. It is not too bad. We'll kind of roll with it. They will bend into this, which is all good. So then if I bring you... Now, here, I can choose to go really big or be really short. So if I brought you to, let's say, here. Right. And then if I chose to do a bend... So let's say I did a 64... Oh, we're not going to get a 64. Do you reckon 72 is too much? Let's see. 56? Is that too sharp? 56, 51. 56. Do you reckon it's this road here that's kind of throwing me off? Could be, maybe. Oh, I've also got to go down, don't I? I forgot I've also got to go down. Right, 64. 64. Now, we'll bring that down, so... We'll bring it down by 5. 64 by 64 down by another 5. And that lines me up perfectly then to do the sweeping bends to connect to that flyover road. Right. Very dramatic, isn't it, guys? It's very dramatic. Yeah. So let's see if I can do this just right. Now, I do have the option to either bring it out by 24 there, just so we've got some form of a straight ride, to then do our bend. So picking up here, bam, so it's a 60 by 64. We'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. Now, I wonder if I can do a... That's like a 68. Is that right? What was that? That's a 70. Okay, not that far. How does that look? That's actually not too bad. Now, obviously, I want to throw in lane math, right? Because I'm so used to building in City Skylines 1 that the lane math is so deep-rooted in my brain. But then I want to... move it slightly over. How do I connect to this little node here? How do I grab that? Is there a way? I mean, I'm not going to play... I mean, I'm still learning the game, okay? I'm still learning the game, but that's how I would build it in City Skylines 1. There's no interruptions. It does what it's got to do. I'm just now going to get this connection now implemented in. So if I started here, went all the way down to there, and then bent it, so that becomes a 138 by a 137. See, that ultimately works. Now, I've got to do the same this way. Let's say 1, 1, 4. All right, back a little bit more. Is that the right number? I wouldn't say it is the right number. It's far from it, but we'll go with it anyway, just for the sake of getting it in. Now, of course, the lane math is deep-rooted in my brain, like I said. And that's a very, very standard and basic trumpet. It does what it needs to do. How good is that? Right, I'm very happy with how that's turned out. I'm just going to get the connection down here. So what I'll do is I'll delete that bit and delete... No, I won't delete that bit. And we then need... Do I do normal road or should I do highway style road? Let's do like a highway style road. So get rid of the needing to be elevated, all that jazz, bring it back down to 0. That runs into there, okay? Now this has got to somehow... Alright, turn all this off. Run into there, but I don't like how it's trying to run into there. So what if I just ran with you here? And we turn the snapping off there. That's not a continuous... Wait, hold on. I need a complex curve, don't I? Bam. 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 Alright, put this back on. Delete that little strip. And then the normal bend. Right, it's not perfect. That's without me having to redo this whole area, right? It's not perfect. But it gets us back to where we was originally before I had to delete everything. So in play mode now, we'll have a little fast forward as they now have to reroute themselves around this brand new trumpet that I've now got involved. So vehicles can go around. It looks pretty good already. But to get to the cargo area, right, it's a dedicated highway junction, okay? So I'm forcing all cargo vehicles to now utilize my highway. So that might be a lot better now. Now, also in doing so, I've now kind of lost the sewage connections, and I probably have also lost the power connections as well, haven't I? Pretty much. So I'll bring the power from over here. It's got to go underground. There. So that should put them back in place. Cargo vehicles can do what they've got to do. They're all now bending round. I'd say that's great success for this junction. Okay. It does force them all to go there, but then it keeps this road here a little bit more free. But now I can play around and do better stuff with it, so to speak. Interesting. Very interesting. Right, I really wish the snow would go. Also, these buildings are now getting bigger. Oh my goodness me. We're not going to have too many large buildings in here. We've got to obviously, control the skyline a little bit. It can get a little bit wild. But that works really well. Now, for this area, I want to delete all of this. Delete you. I'm going to delete all of this as well. Now, I'm going to have to reposition real quickly the crematorium. So I'm just going to move this just to over here for just a moment. There we go. And I might as well just delete all of this here. We're going to reposition this tower. So I'm going to put that over there for just a second. If it will allow me. Why is it not going to... There we go. And like I said, I want to get this road to kind of bend, to kind of come down to bend into this. Now, reason for it is, right, we're kind of now making sense of where these big 4-lane roads go. This 4-lane road can no longer connect down to here because we have this big junction, but we still have it as it's going to be one of our main ring roads that goes around the industrial oil areas of the island. So we're going to have to kind of make it come down and bend. As it bends down, and obviously connects to this 4-lane road, again, we have to make it make sense. I don't want to have it connect and have another junction. I don't want to connect to our little IT area because, again, that's a 2-lane road. So bringing it down, it can then bend into this. It does mean that this connection might be a little bit more staggered. It could also mean that I implement a roundabout. That is the other side of it as well. Or I could keep that as it is there, bring this out to bend down this way. Now, it would mean that that would have to come down like that. That could also work, and I don't have to then kind of mess around with that connection. Or I just have the whole thing in a diagonal. Just for the funsies. Like, if I picked you, that's a 45-degree angle to the straight. Right, just bear with me a second. Right, there's your snap. So there's the snap there going under, which you would lose this connection here, is what would happen. So if I got rid of that, obviously would have to bend this into it, and it wouldn't be such a 45-degree angle, but it creates this. Now, that obviously will probably cause a lot more traffic issues, but that's where we could obviously drop in a nice large roundabout. Now, it does get a little bit more tricky for some of the other vehicles, but you can kind of create cool little slip roads. But I'm thinking how the road can kind of fly through. Is it better to have the degree angle junction with a roundabout, or snap that as a 90, bring that up and then bend it round? Everything in my brain is saying don't do the 45 degree and just stick to a 90 degree. Because I can bring this out to here, right? And let's say I come off, say here somewhere on a 45 degree. I mean, I'm not going to say that's perfectly set up to where it needs to be. But it almost is. Right, I'm using this. Well, that won't go through because overlapping. But a little bit of anarchy didn't hurt nobody. Right, there we go. Just delete this for a second. Okay, that no longer matters, does it? So I can delete you, delete you, delete you, delete you. And then pretty much get this to kind of bend and then come down. So, like I said, we kind of need to do... Ooh. Alright, how far can I go without the anarchy? So, if I come off this on a 45 degree... Or the snow's going as well. Right, we got to extend this a bit further to get our 45 degree. Oh, I'm so happy the snow's going, guys. I really am. Right, let me just sort this out, because this is going to annoy me more than anything else in this world right now. Right, delete you. We'll come back and fix that. Delete you. Right, coming off here. I'm hoping it's just the pure elevation change that was creating that little annoyance. There we go. And then we'll pick you 45 degree angle. There we go. We'll create a bend on it, don't worry. We'll create a bend. So from here, elevated. Oh, got to be up by 10. Get off the bend. Right, there we go. That's back over. No issues. So this road, back down to normal. On the ground. Right, that's not really going to run where I want it to go. So the 45 degrees is ultimately just not going to work. I think we're just going to freehand this. We should just freehand it for the fun. Right? So I reckon about there. Alright, just get rid of you and get rid of you. Because we don't have many free ability to kind of like have a continuous curve running through this area. So if I ran that like this. And then ran... Where's the snap on that? It's actually quite early. The snap on it. So a 77 by 77, that then almost becomes a straight line. And then we've got something a little bit different. You know what I mean? We got something a little bit different. We can spread oil wells and create better systems. But granted, we can also... I mean, I can get rid of you now. You don't really need to be there. It's one of those roads. It might grow me. It might change rapidly. But I can create something in this area. Maybe this is where we have the death care. Maybe that road needs to bend a little bit more. But I kind of like this. Because I can get rid of you. Right? And let me just say... I'm just going to have to throw this somewhere. I'm going to throw this just here for a second. But I can get rid of this road. Right? And then we can get this to... Alright, I have to anarchy this road. To run down to connect to here. And then this can spread all the way down. Thus creating more jobs, more export, and ultimately more money. You see what I mean? So now it doesn't feel like it's so much out of place, right? It doesn't feel too out of place. Now for this one, I'm actually going to cut this one back. I'm just going to do it like to here for just a quick second, okay? I'll reposition this again. And I don't know if to have it... do you know, I don't know where to put this at this moment in time. We need to check the coverage. But I can bring this out, and then this can have some form of a connection here somewhere, where it just kind of graces this area. So if I was to bring this down somewhat there, and then there's your bend, 171, that will do for me. So it kind of bends into this road, and then we'll just utilize this to fill the dead empty space and the gaps. So I bring you to there. Bring you... You would obviously go there. Alright, bear with us, guys. Bear with me. So the highway has allowed us to kind of... It's almost... We're utilizing it as a barrier between the industry and the residential and like the livable city area. So we get this wide open dead space, which I probably will use for the crematorium, the cemetery kind of area to all of this. So it becomes almost unusable. You don't want to live near to, or too near to this area. And I can now finally move this telecom tower, and we'll put it right up here again. So now we've got a space. So finally, we have a little bit of character. It's not much of character. It's not amazing. You're not going to go, wow, I'm going to win an award for that. But it just adds something a little bit different. Rather than the boring grids, we have a little bit of style. It's the best way to put it. It really is. So we've definitely increased now the population, right? The population is definitely slightly increased. If I check the graphs and go population, where is it? Citizens. We've had a nice little oomph up there. You could probably argue we've added an extra 6,000 people in just this area alone, which really wild to even think that. It really is. Now, like I said, we don't really see as many vehicle traffic going on because of the nature of the island. We can bring some more car parking over, like we've got so many stored in here, this underground car park. That will make sense to bring this over into this downtowny area vibe. So I feel like we want to kind of keep some park areas open and whatnot. And I also want to make sure that we utilize these car parks in the best position possible. So I really do feel like having an underground car park within this vicinity here is definitely the way to go forward. So I'm going to throw this in literally, if I can get it on this road. Can I get it on that road? I'm not sure if I can or not. Yes. There. Now that will delete some of that residential, unfortunately, but it will bring a lot more vehicles over to the island. And it's a low density or low height building, so it kind of fits perfectly within that area. But that will bring over... oh. Hold on. Did it not bring the vehicles over? Am I mistaken at this point? Or is it that type of car park it doesn't bring them over? Like, I've got this car park in my hand right now. Now, if I'm to drop this somewhere, that's somewhere I'm not too sure where to actually drop it. I could drop it just here, just for the sake of seeing it. Right, so the underground car park didn't bring the vehicles over. That's interesting, isn't it? That really is interesting. Okay, fair enough. Now, you could argue... Now that we've implemented the highway connection for the cargo harbour, are things looking a little bit more busier because we have a dedicated ramped access to the highway? It's now become a lot speedier to import and export cargo. You could argue, well, yes, now it's time to give them their very own, but we'll leave it anyway. I don't want to do too much in these highway systems all in one go. But it'll be nice to grow the population just a little bit more now. Now, we've got quite a bit of cash, so is it time that we now think about implementing more of the university side of things? We have the option, I mean, there's a lot of research stuff we can do, but we've done the university. We had the ability to get the technical university in, which is a ridiculously sized building. And we've got the long variation of it. Because it's important to get these in where we can get these in now. Because ultimately, right, the sheer size of them is going to cripple the space that we have remaining. Now, I might put this, like here, but further down, so we can reclaim some of that land. Which means this one will go around about here. Or I put it to there. That's as far as the straightness we can go. So this is the medical university, by the way. And by building this, we get better bonuses for the healthcare side of things, as well as better education levels. So I am going to implement this here. Right, this is meant to be our big campus area, by the way, as well. That's what it's meant to be. Now, any extensions on the building that is not based on the actual object itself. Research facilities. Right, okay, we've got a few objects here. So I'll implement this research facility just there. Now, in doing so, I'm going to build a little bit of a perimeter road going around it. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Oh, right, I keep forgetting, right? I keep forgetting, one, I'm on anarchy, and two, I'm on bend mode. Right, put that around there. I like to do little perimeter roads going around all the buildings. Not only does it make it accessible from all angles, but also it creates more connections I can add to it. So we've got the... Oh, you can do more facilities. I didn't realize, but we did the practice clinic as well. Now the practice clinic, it's slightly out of the boundaries just there, but I'll build it in just here. And again, we'll build a nice little perimeter road going around the edge. We'll start there. There we go. That road there didn't feel straight. You know what I mean? Neither did that. Oh, I don't think all those roads are straight anyway. But it adds a few additional facilities there. We could spend the money and add the additional extension wing on it. Just kind of really bulk up the area of the buildings. Now this really does start to feel like a huge campus, doesn't it? And we're getting to the point where we can now start thinking about creating a bus loop going around. That becomes very important. But the main thing is, I just want to find out how far I'm building this campus, because then whatever space is left over is where I can then grow and expand the city with residents and shopping and industrial opportunities. So already with this, we've got 21 peeps. I don't feel like we're going to see many in there because the university is such a high level. You got to filter more people through college to get to university. Education-wise, this is the technical university right now, which is so big, which I'm going to save that for up here. But I'll have to reclaim land. So I know this space down here is free, unless we look towards building an additional college campus. Now, there's only one college in the game, which is this one here. So I could maybe build it within this vicinity, and we're going to actually connect that technical university off this length of road here. Let me redo that road. I'm going to pull it from over there and then run it straight down. So a little bit of a better line. And oh, it just moved at the last minute. That's annoying, isn't it? It literally just moved at the last minute. There we go. So there's the connection there. With that. And like I said before, I like to do perimeter roads. There we go. There we go. Right. I might as well connect this in. And that is not perfect. Alright, as good as you're going to get it. I could get it better, but I'm not going to complain about it. So the back end of that, we can then have more... Now I know the space that I've got, I can now create a better system for all of this cargo area. So things are now slowly falling into place. Now, obviously, I want to try and get that additional college in because, like I said, we need to push a lot more people through college, and college will be our bottleneck eventually. I mean, I still need to get more elementary schools and more high schools, but college will be a huge bottleneck for us if we're not careful. Now, Actually, do you know what? I didn't realize how big the actual building was. It's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be. Now, if I just quickly delete this road and that building there, if I got it to go there, there's a bit of space just on the end. Right, bit of space just on the end. I mean, I can make this more... I can move this up as central as I can. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a random bit of road here, which will go there. And that's where that technical university is going to sit, within this 90-degree corner. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to bring... Because that is like the road connection there to get into the car park. So I bring you to there, to there. And then straight in, right? It's all about connectivity, guys. It's all about connectivity. We get the college then just here. And then add the college library building. I'm going to put it randomly just here. We'll go just there with it. Throw the extension on. And then we got to create walkability. So let me redo this now. We'll redo this and we'll come off the edge of the building. Okay, like I said, it's all about walkability. And we are doing it with roads. Now, can I just use the move it tool to kind of reposition that a bit better? Yes. Now, we do have... we've done roads there where we've done paths in other areas. So I do want to kind of squeeze in more paths. You know, it is the better option, so to speak. Right. And I'll bring you up to about there. Because we have our big transit hub there. But now we know where the canvas is going to go. We've got all these little areas in which we can now intertwine stuff. There is a lot of like research ability things as well. The geological. We've got the Hadron Collider, which that will not be put here. Right, that will not be put here. But the Geological Research Centre is a really good building which we can also throw in. Now, that should fit there just nice. There's no extensions to that, but it does give us more oil deposits and a better college graduational chance. Now, if I bring the road around this one, and then we can create like loads of little walkable areas and parks to really bulk this area up. But like I said, I now know how far I can spread the city, and it will now kind of come into here. So we can now officially go back to building more residential growth. So here to there. You... to there. As our connection in. And then that road awkwardly would go here. Now, it's going to throw a little bit of a tantrum, but I reckon we just dedicate ourselves to this little alleyway. And then run this one down here. So, I'm not too worried about the zoning, because you'll get these awkward angle buildings. And you could kind of like say, like, this part of the city was built on old ancient roads, so they're not perfectly straight. And that's the story I'm sticking to, okay, guys? That's the story I'm sticking to. Now, we do need some taller buildings, but not as tall as we've got right now. So we'll go ahead with the residential side of it. And we'll put down some medium density first here. And because we have a lot of students in this vicinity, the medium density business wouldn't be such a bad idea as well. But that's mainly around this little section. We'll go up to there. We'll do a nice chunk here. A nice chunk there. So a little bit of residence there, which could be like student accommodation almost. But a lot of it is commercial. Now, I'm throwing in commercial for the jobs. Even though unemployment is so low, we do have a lot more room for populational growth, which we could replace some of these buildings in the center with, you know, the taller residential buildings. So I'm going to go like, we do have a lot of high density, so I might pause, select all of this, and delete all these residential buildings. I like to delete them first because then they've got free will to pick their zoning. And they'll go, like, for the bigger options. You know what I mean? So we've done some pretty sweet improvements there. And they'll hopefully become really, really tall buildings. University should technically get less students now, as some of them would prefer to go to the medical university, but it also gets utilized as a hospital as well, which is also the additional benefit we've got. College, we've now got 2 of them, so we spread it a little bit, but we do need to take a look at public transport again, because now we've extended this area, we can actually look towards having a bus loop going around in general. Now, last thing I'm going to do is just extend the road just to there, which is completely oofed these buildings. So sorry, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And, yeah, we're looking like magic now, boys. We're looking like magic. This has already just become quite a big density area. You can now start to see our 2 individual settlements on the island. Which is pretty good, but it is going to push my public services to their absolute limits. We're going to have to take a look at the policing, the fire, the healthcare, all that stuff again. We're really going to have to. But other than that, not too bad. Healthcare doesn't look the greatest. Oh, waiting for a hearse. Yeah, we were going to have to kind of build like a cemetery area over here. So maybe that's what we kind of look towards next episode, is building a better kind of death care facility. I can even build a big, beautiful hospital in this area now. We've got areas to really work with when it comes to implementing services. So that's pretty cool. So we would have made this one a little bit bigger, which does 106. This one, look at that. We don't really have enough employees, which kind of shows us we do need to grow the population a little bit more. So let's see. Housing, low rent housing. Where did I put the low rent housing anyway? Was it over here? Are you low rent housing? I think you are, because them buildings are not way too big. So we can afford to throw some in just here. It doesn't, like, tower over the city too much. But I'm really surprised that we're not getting as many office demand. I had that small bit of office demand over here, and that's all we've ever had. It's a bit wild, isn't it? We'll get some more low-rent housing over there. It's all like student accommodation almost, isn't it? And I might as well kind of fill it in here in this awkwardness. I like the awkwardness. It is pretty interesting and nice to see. But it's very awkward. But this area is all of a sudden just built up pretty nicely. So yeah, we're closing in on 50,000 residents. Who would have thought we would have got 50,000 residents, especially in the first few episodes of this series? I never would have thought we would have got this far. So, absolutely wild, boys. It is absolutely wild to think we've got this far. Now, there is tons of stuff that we still need to do. There is a ton of stuff that we still need to kind of get set up. And there's stuff that we still got to change and implement and expand. But now we've got some slight organization. I'll also try and implement as well, because these tall buildings are so fixated within, you know, such a square radius area. I'll take a look at, like, zoning a few random spots. Like, I've got you there, delete you. So the tall buildings slightly extend over into a few different areas. So it's not all just straight up, here I am, kind of style. In such a small square block. I wonder if I can kind of fast forward that to get these in. the construction does take a little bit of while. Because from a distance, it just looks so blocky like that, but if you can kind of then change the shape slightly. It's not too bad here because, like I said, you've got the middle ones that are a little bit smaller, so it doesn't feel like it's so fixated in one particular area. Which is not too bad. But yeah, we're gonna, whoa! I think a subway, the train has just made its way to the underground station here because a lot of students just got off. That's why we need the buses going around as well. We can access more of this area. We really can. All right, what's this on right now? 90. Okay, that's going to get built now, by the way. There we go. So it kind of hangs out a little bit, so it doesn't feel so closed and tight to the area. And then the skyline then starts to stagger down a little bit. But forgetting that anyway, the highway is working perfect. No issues on this. No issues on the junctions. But that ultimately all comes down to the type of island that it is. It's a low traffic island. Anybody using my underground car park? Not really. I don't feel like we're going to see much utilization of the cars. But at least the cargo can take full advantage. It's pretty sweet. Look at how glorious the island's already looking. Guys, we're going to end it here. I hope you did enjoy this episode of OilTown. If you did, please smash that like button down below. And until next time, I will see you all soon. So, goodbye.